worked hard and waited so long, and now I'm in it for the win. When I touch down in London, that's when my journey begins. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. Forever BEO. There's so much to do there. I have nothing left to fear. I can't stop thinking about the future. I see my path is so clear. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. Forever BEO.
Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome again to this BEOnline International Summit Program Edition 2020. In order to have a smooth interaction, please know we will give around 15 minutes for this once the speech is over for a Q&A session. Although if you have any question during the presentation, please write it on the questions below and feel free to share them on the chat. My name is Gabriela Velázquez and I'm a BEO sales representative and I'll be your host today. I would like to introduce you to your speaker, Roxana Antohi, who will share with us how to prepare a team online. Roxana was born in Romania and educated at the University of Cambridge. She has been dedicated to educational projects for over 6 years. She worked for the European Union in China and Turkey before turning to language literacy in Latin America, through her work with Oxford Education and LEAD and BEO World. She is currently researching the effects of the pandemic has had on language learning around the world, and she is a strong believer in technology being the savior of the education needs during the post-COVID and during this. So please welcome Roxana Antohi.
Thank you, Gabby, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's amazing to be here with you. And Gabby, would I be able to share my screen? If that's okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So today we will be talking about how to prepare your team online. As teachers, I'm sure you must have already struggled over the past few months to engage and motivate your students to learn online during day-to-day classes. Now there's this even bigger challenge, that of motivating your team traveling to one of our programs. And this challenge is bigger because it's not only a matter of your students paying attention to what you are saying in a class. It's a matter of them learning soft skills or essential skills that they will need to display if they want to do well during the competition they will be taking part in. It's also a matter of working on their talents and owning them to maximize their potential for when they need to display them on stage in England. With that being said, there are plenty of digital resources that can help you overcome this challenge. Not only that, you can make it engaging for your students in order for them to be motivated to work on being the best that they can be by the time the competition comes around. So today we will look at how we can achieve this. First off, we will start with the essential skills your students will need to develop in order to be top competitors, regardless of which program they're in, and how you can work with them through the digital medium on those skills. Then we will look at each competition in turn, starting with BEO, then last but not least, the Masters. So we will look at these specific competitions and see how to prepare for each one of them, even if you're not able to see your students face to face. So to start with, let's look at some of the essential skills needed to have in our BEO World programs. Multicultural communication comes first, as students are expected to socialize and interact with students from all over the world. In some cases, perhaps even for the first time. Then they will need to work together as a team. Especially given the circumstances, you won't be able to lock them up in a classroom and make them work together. The digital medium is a bit more complicated than that. So we will look at how to create and how to foster that bond and at some of the ways you can do so. Next up, we have research and investigation, which is an essential skills that students need to have in each one of the programs. They will have to investigate a topic. Maybe it's fake news in BEO, market needs in the master's program, or the way other teams and other countries work in WE. Being able to do so, to do this research, this investigation in a structured and organized way is very important when it comes to presenting those findings. And that's where we get the final essential skills we will be talking about today, presentation skills. Students will be expected to present whatever they have researched, and doing so well can make the difference between a team going to the next round and one who isn't. So all of these skills are also skills that will be invaluable later on in life, both in study, in work, in day-to-day life. So let's start with the first one, multicultural communication. As mentioned before, students are expected to interact with teams from all over the world. Our programs include competitors from over 30 different countries. So students will not only have to interact with each other, I don't know, at lunch, during trips, or on campus activities, they will also have to work together during certain challenges. For example, the Inter-School Mystery Challenge during the British English Olympics. So the key elements that they can work on in order to develop their multicultural communication skills are, first of all, keep an open mind. You need to make them understand that people simply don't do things the same way. In their culture, they may do things the opposite way than people from another culture. The other side of this coin is just as important. You need to make sure that students don't go back to stereotypes and cultural assumptions. So you can work on this, but by what is called the train journey exercise. This is one of the exercises I would recommend you use with your students in order to improve their multicultural communication. So what do you have to do? You can do this through a Zoom or Google Meet meeting and tell your students that they are about to embark on a long train journey, let's say a week or 2 weeks long. And they have to travel with 3 other people, which they have to choose. So you, as a teacher, have to write down 10 or 20 characters that they have to choose from. These characters have to incorporate cultural stereotypes or habits that your students would be familiar with and maybe even have a problem with. So I don't know, let's say, for example, a tattooed young man listening to very loud music, or a woman maybe wearing a hijab, which like they don't see in their country, or maybe an Indian girl who's eating in the on the train with her hands. So choose the stereotypes you believe your students would be most afflicted by. Then let them discuss in small groups or pairs and tell you which 3 characters out of the 10 or 20 you gave them they choose to travel with. Then have a discussion about why they didn't choose the other characters. Challenge their stereotypes, challenge their thinking, make them understand that everyone is the same and they could have chosen any other 3 people to travel with and they would have been just as fine. Another thing that we can look at when it comes to multicultural communication is having knowledge of people's cultural backgrounds. Like I said, there are people from over 30 countries. They are bound to be different and have different cultures. So by making your students research like the other cultural backgrounds of the competitors they will be facing, it might help them not only have an open mind, but also get them potentially excited to interact with them and ask them questions about their culture and how they do things. So what I would suggest as an exercise for this is also getting students to research online and look up what countries the competitors are from and how they do things. Like try and find some fun, interesting facts about their culture. For example, in a certain country, physical contact might be very common. You could just have a hug or a pat on the back. In another country, that just might be a no-no. So make them like interested in this, make them research it, and at the same time share it online, also through a Zoom or Google Meet meeting, and talk about how the things that they've learned and how they would interact with other students if they came in across those situations. Maybe this way they will understand that they will make other people feel more welcome and they will be able to build certain skills that they didn't have to start with. So this is when it comes to multicultural communication, a soft skill that's very important. Next up, we have teamwork. Teamwork is absolutely essential. Online group work can be a miracle or a complete disaster, and as I'm sure you already know by now. It just depends on how it's managed, and that depends heavily on you, no pressure. So in order for it to work, you must ensure clear communication between you and your team, as well as between team members. Establish a plan, schedule, collaborate in a proactive and positive way. Some of the essential things for online group learning and collaboration are: don't expect your team to work perfectly from the first day. There will be some issues there, one way or another. Be very clear about the team roles, the responsibilities and tasks. Use technology to help you stay organized. For example, have shared calendars, file sharing, Google Drive, etc. Agree on rules for communication and for completing tasks and deadlines, and try to make social connections between team members. So try and get your team to actually bond like at a personal level. So this being said, dialogue among students is essential when it comes to the group activity. Like, you not only should assign assignments, but you should also design them to encourage discussion and brainstorming. That way, each individual team member not only will just do their part, but they will also feel like they're part of something bigger. And this will also make sure that no one feels left out or has a chance to flake out on their team members, like missing a deadline or just not doing what they're supposed to do. It's also essential to create an online learning community that is supportive, respectful, and nurturing. So create a set of guidelines for your team where you tell them what they need to follow, what rules they need to follow in order to communicate with each other, and how to solve internal issues. And why do I mention this? Because conflict will most likely arise. Conflicts happen in day-to-day work, even when they're together. So in the online medium, that will most likely happen as well. So to preempt that, you should, from the start, use simulations to mimic real-world challenges. So create a number of different simulations that focus on various forms of conflict that could happen in your team. So for example, one situation could center on a roadblock when doing research and not being able to find the information. Another situation could focus on what happens when a teammate gets really angry at everyone else, or when another teammate is not pulling their weight and not delivering what they are supposed to deliver. So have a meeting, an online meeting with your team members, and make them try and diffuse these situations by using all of their skills, knowledge, resources, anything that they can come up with. So by having all these simulations from the beginning, later on, months from now, that will definitely help you when it's bound to happen. And there are plenty of digital resources to collaborate. I just mentioned some of them, like the most well-known ones are like WhatsApp group chats, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc. However, if you are looking to engage your students in teamwork with a user-friendly platform, there are several platforms out there that you can use for group collaboration. So here I have a few for you. For example, Socrative is a platform for teachers and students that is basically an application for effective classroom management. You will be using it in a different way, project management for your program. The developers of this app put special emphasis on having fun and interactive activities so you can engage your students. So apart from these activities, you'll have access to quizzes featuring the most interesting topics that your students have researched, reporting and feedback to enhance the students' understanding of the project and the research that they have done, chat and discussion rooms, so you don't have to have emails and WhatsApp messages and group Facebook messages and all of that. You can have everything on one platform. And funnily enough, they have a space race feature, which encourages friendly competition between your team members with an intergalactic quiz bowl. So this is a very fun platform that you can use, and its free account gives you access to at least 50 students, up to 50 students, which is plenty for the team you're going to have anyway. No BEO Masters or We team is going to be bigger than 50 people. Tilda is another platform and is one of the most popular online tools for teachers in the form of an online playground. And it allows the students to do internet research and share their findings with each other and the teacher, but doing it in a fun way and in a user-friendly way. Students will do their own research, of course. You're not going to have to do anything for them. But then you can have online meetings, online discussions. You can share images, emails, documents. You can have voice chat, everything on the platform. So I highly recommend looking these up for collaborative work online. Hopefully will help. These tools, of course, can also help you for the next essential skill that students need to have, research and investigation. Of course, the number one thing students do when it comes to doing research on anything is just go to Google. However, there is more than life to then just Google. So for example, let's say in BEO, you would need to research fake news. I'm telling you, if you look up fake news on Google, you're gonna get 856 million results. How are students supposed to make sense of 856 million results? Well, that's a bit on you to teach them how to make sense of all this information. So first off, you need to teach them how to use smart search. Remind your students that first of all, solid, specific terms are key to the research process. So instead of fake news, using something a lot more specific. Next up, the advanced search like function is also their friend. They can limit results based on location, date published, file type, domain type, many other things. And this will allow your students to start with a wide-ranging topic, like the example I just gave you, fake news, and then break it down into manageable parts. And also at the same time provide relevant content. Imagine typing fake news and you have a result from 2001 on Google. A lot has happened in the past 19 years. Your students might not find the most relevant content unless they filter it themselves. So what I would suggest as an exercise to implement this is give each student 3 search terms, ranging from general to specific on the same topic, and ask them to record how many search results they received for each term. And then with that, they will see, and you can discuss with them, how being specific can narrow the results to the actual ones they need. And next up, you need to remind them that it is essential that they check their sources. Fake news is a thing after all. And they can do so on the basis of validity, accuracy, how appropriate it is for their needs, how important it is, social and cultural context, etc. And most kids actually do believe that everything they read online is true. And majority of them actually don't take the time to really look into it and see, is this true or is it not? And actually there is a certain study that showed that kids as young as 11 rate themselves as being proficient internet users. So that kind of inflates their confidence in a way. And when it comes to research and investigation, that is not a good thing. You need them to be as accurate and as objective as possible. So tell your students to set certain benchmarks for the sites they use to get relevant content for their investigation. Like currency, if the information is up to date, security, like the scope, is it in depth enough, authority, does the information come from a trusted expert? And challenge students to find one site that meets all these benchmarks that you suggest and one site that doesn't. So during this research, encourage students to check the benchmarks of a list for each of the websites that they use. So basically really engaging them and teaching them these research skills will be of great help later on. And obviously we've just talked about the 856 million results, about how much information there is on the internet and how a Google search can be borderline overwhelming. So there is another side to the coin where a student can't find the information that they need after they spent a few minutes on Google and like the results are not there. So what do you do then when they start getting frustrated? Well, it's on you to teach them Google emotional resilience. I know that might sound a bit strange, but it's quite important. So this emotional resilience means that they have to have patience when it comes to finding information despite challenges. And when it comes to this, one exercise you can do is to challenge teams to come up with a well-researched answer to a question that isn't Googleable. So like an opinion question such as, who has been the best actor to play James Bond? Or who is the best band? Is it BTS or is it Maroon 5? So encourage your team to use various resources because there won't be a specific Google answer. So when they look at all these resources, I don't know, they can be like number of awards, box office receipts, etc. And then they can present this finding to you, and then you can choose who the winner is based on the best information and the best reasoning that they have. So this will not only teach them emotional resilience, but also will go back to research, investigation, and a bit of presentation skills and debate when it comes to it, because they will argue that probably BTS is the best group out there. And last but not least, while this emotional resilience is very important to build, there is that problem where you can't find the information that you need, and you need it in order to present during your competition. So what to do in that case? Well, teach your students to also use their networks, their family, their friends, social media, online forums. Teach them they can rely on people and not just search engines. It is, of course, important to remind them that they must stick to the same level of scrutiny as they did with all the resources they obtain from websites. But also this will help them build the skills that they need to obtain information from others, which will be useful in certain competitions, such as how we see our campus competition in a week. And last but not least, they will need to present these findings on stage. And what I would suggest is encouraging your students to enroll on online courses. There are so many resources available. Sites like Udemy have courses such as Presentation Skills Secrets, Delivering the Talk of Your Life, or How to Create Slides for Life-Changing Public Speaking. I mean, I think these titles are a bit too self-important, but I'm sure they do have absolutely essential skills, tricks, and tips that your students can use and can learn in order to deliver their presentation on stage. And most of them only take 2 to 3 hours to complete, and they are for free. And you can actually implement you can actually ask them and then implement all the findings that they get from these courses and the Zoom meetings or the Google Meet meetings that you have as a team later on. And another resource that I would recommend, it comes from the University of Melbourne. I promise I will send you all of these resources later on. I just didn't want to put all the links here for you to just get caught up in just trying to type the links on your phone or your computer. So the University of Melbourne has free resources for presentation skills, from voice techniques, effective graphics, keeping the message clear, how to deliver it effectively to an audience, etc. And last but not least, this is an extremely valuable tool that I would recommend, Toastmasters International. I think probably some, if not most of you, have heard of what Toastmasters International is. It is an education organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. But right now, due to the pandemic, they have started doing everything online. So I highly recommend telling your students to enroll in Toastmasters International Club and taking part in their online presentations. They can do it in English. They can definitely develop these skills, and they can do it in front of an audience they don't know, which is quite important, because while you can present as many times as you want during a meeting with your team, everyone knows each other and they feel a lot more comfortable doing it in front of people that they know. Whereas when they join a club like Toastmasters, it's very different. There will be a lot of strangers, and it will mimic or replicate the audience from a BEO World program a lot better. So with that, this is where our general skills discussion comes to an end. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, we can talk about them at the end. So moving on, we will look at each BEO World competition and the individual tasks that your students need to work on, starting with the British English Olympics. So first off, the British English Olympics is the only competition that has a debate. So the structure of the BEO debate is very specific, and both you and your students need to be familiar with the format, first of all, in order to ensure that you don't lose any points unnecessarily. So first thing that I would suggest is to create an in-team debate over Zoom using the same BEO format, where different team members represent different countries or different representatives. And for this, you can use either the BEO brief that you have been given already, or you can just create your own brief depending on whatever ideas you have, for both variety and element of surprise purposes. And this will also help you choose the best performing students when it comes to them actually competing in the debate in England. And other digital resources that can help you, websites such as Debating Matters. Debating Matters provides guides on how to host your meeting online. So when you do your in-team meeting, you can, or debate, you can actually use the guide that Debating Matters provide. It is very thorough, and it actually gives you tips for both you as the organizer and the teacher and the students taking part. Kayalo Edu is an educational version of Kayalo, and Kayalo is the world's largest argument mapping and debate website. And because everything has turned digital now, it is free for teachers to use. I highly recommend using that. It is world leading and would be very good for doing research for your debates. And other websites that you can use, opposing views. And opposing views, you highlight key questions, like for example, political questions or scientific questions. And it has an expert sharing pro and cons that can help your students kind of think more critically and engage with them as well. Pro-con offers what seems to be very well-researched pro and con positions as well on controversial issues. And this could serve as a very good model for your students to craft their own positions during the debates. And Debate Art is a new online platform which was created with the purpose to give anyone a chance to test themselves in debates on a large number of subjects and improve their debate skills, their argumentation skills, and being more eloquent. So with these platforms, which like I said before, I promise I will send you the links, your students can definitely not only just debate and practice their own positioning and argument, but also just see how other people do it and actually learn from experts, which later on will definitely help them when it comes to the competition itself. Next up, Acapella or singing is another one of the competitions in BEO that students need to prepare for. I can imagine that everyone singing during a Zoom meeting might not result in the best sound quality or ability to truly deliver an unforgettable performance. I have yet to see a very good Zoom singing performance. But you'll have to also look at other things when preparing the a cappella performance. So apart from the collaboration aspect, in which of course the team will have to use their teamwork skills that we just discussed previously, there is a performance aspect that you can find some help in when it comes to digital resources. Some of them are the Acapella app, which a few years ago was the biggest and most talked about app around the world. And it can be used to record several different students performing, and then the performances you can merge in a video in order to see how your final performance can come together. Smart Music and Practice First are it's CAI, which is computer assisted instruction applications. And they are also for ensembles. So especially in your case, for your team, these are the kind of applications that you would need to use to put everyone's work together. And they have direct ways to monitor, to assess the practice of the students and provide the feedback. The same way I mentioned some of the collaborative platforms before, these ones are similar, but specifically for music and performances. And with these, you can actually gain really meaningful insight into the students' practice and how to accelerate and improve their progress. And these two in particular have a subscription fee, but they also have free trials. So I highly recommend trying them out just to see if they work for you. And also the website JW Pepper provides dozens of digital resources that you as a teacher can use to help your students improve their a cappella performance, from different tutorials to different activities, including Zoom activities that your students can put together to create an unforgettable performance. And last but not least, very similar to a cappella, we have the drama competition. And when it comes to this, it can be quite challenging to have students perform on Zoom. Later on in the year, very close to BEO, of course, you can have your students get together in a socially distanced way in order to work on stage setting and where everyone is supposed to stand and how everything is supposed to go. But a lot needs to be done before you get to that point. That comes from the creation point. You need to create your play to start with. And you need to have auditions, you need to decide who your characters are going to be, you need to practice your performance. And some of the things that you can do is start with digital auditions from the first place and asking students to film a video of themselves auditioning for a role or a character in in your drama performance, and then based on that you can choose who the best ones are. You can also do playwriting exercises together, where you, for example, you can get your students to write a section of the play each, and then a bit like Chinese whispers, where like you just have like the first part and then like someone just writes the second part and then the third part, and so on and so on. So this can all be done online, and it will just be a collaborative effort, and you will also see how students work together. And playwriting can be done in various ways, and there are resources available, such as Drama Resource website, that actually has 2 different activities on how you as a teacher can engage your students to create their own play. So based on this, I think these are the competitions that BEO has that are special and a bit different than the other ones. So moving on, we're just going to continue with We. We is very much focused on English lessons, but there are certain competitions to it. Some of them that I talked about, how we see our campus, we already discussed in research and investigation, and how you can get your students to do all of that. One very special competition that we has, and is a bit different than everyone, all the other ones, is how we see art. In this, students will have to create their own work of art, and I tried to come up with some ideas on how you can do that for your students, so you actually can practice beforehand. And very similar to what I suggested before about Chinese whispers, you can try to do a Chinese whispers work of art. What does that mean? You can, first of all, you can get, you as the teacher can get the basic materials and create the first step of a piece of art. Then you can send it to one of the students in your team via Uber, mail, a pigeon, whatever it is. And then the student will create the second part. And then so on, they will keep sending the work of art to the other students until they get to the last one. So basically the way you can go about this is either by discussing each step of the way, like how teachers see, how students see the work of art, what their ideas were, how they decided, what they saw when they first received the work of art, and how they decided to work with it. Or you can just keep it a complete secret and only have a big reveal at the end, where you just have a big Zoom meeting and you reveal the final work of art. To see how you actually achieved that and what were the thoughts behind that in every single one of your students. So when it comes to this, you can either use obviously like canvas and paint, or you can use basic materials that you have around the house, and you can create like a complex structure or a sculpture. It is up to you. There are many ways you can actually implement this, and it can be actually quite fun. And another resource that I think you can check out and get your students to use as well is Amina's World, which was developed by the Columbus Museum of Art. And it's an online resource where kids can choose a digital canvas or a digital background, and then build a collage by layering cloth, by layering different elements on it, like fabric scraps, things they have around the house. And they can move it and resize it, and they can actually just either have the same digital background, each of them, and then present like the different findings at the end and see how they work together, how they work individually, and how they see art creation. And at the same time, they get to know each other a bit better as well, and see what their artistic skills are. Okay, so after all this art and drama and talent, let's move on to the next competition, the Masters. I don't know why my screen keeps moving. So for this competition, I will only suggest one resource that you as teachers can use, and I cannot recommend this more. It's called the Startup School by Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is an American startup accelerator founded in 2005 that has since grown to be the world's leading startup funding program. So they are the masters behind companies like Airbnb, Dropbox, and many, many other huge companies at the moment that started from nowhere. So basically the way they work is they just give You actually apply to Y Combinator. If they like your idea, you will actually go through a training program for a few months, and then at the end you'll get some money to build and develop your company. But what they have developed recently is the Startup School, and this is a free online program and global community of founders. And it has content from top entrepreneurs in the world, such as Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and many others. And their course includes absolutely all the details on how to create or launch a project or a business, etc. So in this, you can actually, your students could actually enroll and learn everything from finance, market growth, teamwork, how to start a company, how to start a project, absolutely everything. So I highly encourage you to get your students who are going to masters to enroll on the Startup School. And based on the things that they learn from it, they could not only just create a kick-ass project during the masters, but also potentially launch the next big thing. You never know, the next Airbnb or the next Dropbox. And with that, I believe that is all from me. I hope these resources have been somewhat helpful. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Perfect. Thank you, Roxana. If anyone has a question, please write on the chat. I will read some comments that we have until now. So greetings from Ecuador, Irapuato, Guatemala, Venezuela, from Sao Paulo, Brazil, León, Guanajuato in Mexico, Honduras, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Venezuela, from Mexico, from Brazil, good afternoon, from Lima, from Honduras, Aguascalientes, Mexico, Buenos Aires, La Paz.
Yo no tengo espacio. Es que yo no tengo espacio para...
Lima, Peru, Monterrey, Brazil, Monterrey again. And there's a comment here. Hello, I'm Rafael, coordinator of the master's team at Valle de Sula, Honduras, and I would like to have my students meet students from other countries so they can become acquainted. Anybody interested could be beneficial for our students, so if anyone is interested, please contact Rafael Molanfi. And
so Rafael, if you want to put your email address there in the chat, so like anyone who's interested can also contact you via email.
Yes, I did put my email there so that anybody can contact me, and I'm willing to do this. I've been trying to do it for a long time, so it would be very appreciated if you guys collaborate with our team. I got a question for you, Roxana.
Tell me.
We have I'm the coordinator of the master's program, and we have been working for about a year. And the first postponement was we were supposed to be going to master's in June, and it was postponed. And now we were supposed to be going on October, and it seems that it's postponed again. And my kids have lost their motivation. You know, they just like, they just went down. And as a matter of fact, I lost 4 seniors because they're going to university, and I don't know if they're going to be able to compete in the program. So I only have 4 seniors now, and they're down. So this is part of the activity that I'm trying to coordinate with the other school members is this. Try to motivate my kids so that they say, hey, yes, we're going to meet people, and let's start doing it now, and hope to meet them in London again. You know, keep them motivated. Do you have any other suggestions?
So basically, actually, what I would suggest, especially for seniors, Rafael, one of the things that I saw a few years back was something called the Legacy Project. So the Legacy Project is something that you develop especially with seniors. It's you basically remind them that they're about to leave. What do they leave behind? And in order for them to do that, they can create their own project. It can be a business, it can be something sort of like what I have seen in the past has been like a group of students creating like a podcast and building like a podcast company. And in the process, they actually managed to get like equipment being donated, and they actually had what do you call it, a recording studio, and they were in a very small town, and actually people from around the town heard about the recording studio and they started using it. It was something that they left behind. Other students created a book together, like through collaborative writing, and it's just kind of like getting them to think as somebody who, like, as people who leave the school, what do they leave behind, and just working on that project to actually leave their own legacy. And you can tie it into the masters, and it's actually at the same time is the same thing, developing an idea, like building it, and step by step getting to a goal, and just like launching it and financing it, etc., etc. So actually, as opposed to it turning into what you have in mind is great, and I do think that collaboration, especially with people from other schools and other countries, will be very useful. But even within their team, just gauging their actual interests and skills and talents, and putting them to good use to build something very useful in real life could provide them a bit of extra motivation to do it.
Right, that was a good idea. I didn't think about it. I think legacy would be the point there. Thank you, Roxana. Thank you.
No problem.
I would like to take the opportunity of your question, Rafael, just to mention that we're developing right now a summit for master's students, in which we're going to have like marketing workshops, public speaking workshop, coaching, and just how to pitch an idea. It's going to be also an international event, so it will be a great opportunity for your students and any students who want to be part of it to just interact with kids from other cultures and emerge even more in what they're going to do in London. So that way they don't feel less motivated about going there and develop a business project. So they can have like these types of events where they can develop new skills and train a little bit more. And also I think it will be good for you as a teacher, because you can use that even in your classroom as part of your practices. I'm sure they will learn a lot from this experience. You're saying that they can just also do this with students from all of our countries.
Yes, that's good. And when is this going to start, Kathleen?
It's going to be on October, the 2nd week of October. We're going to send all of the information. We just like trying to find the speakers and just developing the project, and we'll give it to you as soon as we have everything set and ready.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. So we can continue with the comments. This one is very repetitive. If you can, please share the presentation and links.
Of course. I will send you everything, absolutely no problem.
Perfect. So excellent presentation. Thanks a lot. That was perfect. Thank you so much. Excellent information. Thank you from Buenos Aires. Great tips. Thank you for your presentation. It was really useful. I just want to know if we can access the links easily. You didn't easily. Dean, thank you so much for the information. So if they can access the link.
Okay. Presentation and links coming your way, I promise. Everyone can take notes right now. And yes, I will send you the apps for collaboration, and absolutely every single one of them I will send in a document. Okay, any other questions?
If you have any other questions, we have mostly the same comments like greetings and asking for presentations, basically. And yes, we will send all the presentations. Thank you very much for all the resources. Caitlin, teachers can participate in these sessions? Yes, there's going to be sessions for teachers. You mean the master's one, right? There's going to be sessions for teachers and for students, and for both combined.
Well, actually, that's a great idea. We haven't thought about it. We were just focusing on the kids, but I think it will be a good idea to also have something special for the teachers. It will be also like a days summit, so they can have a lot of activities as well. And yeah, that could be something that we can add up for sure.
For the BEO program, the drama section, it will be the shadow theater, right?
So when it comes to that, it's actually, you are right there. I didn't suggest any tools or resources for that. But what you can do is improvisation. I think that would help a lot. Particularly, there are plenty of improvisation tools online, and I'll make a note to send you some resources on that later. But one of the things that you can do with improvisation is actually get your students to like actually face the same screen, actually either like imitate each other, like set up like an environment where like certain people have to imitate others. And also when it comes to actual improvisation theater, it's just one of them will have to start with an idea, just imagine a character in their head, and everyone else will have to just kind of figure out, based on what the first person has said, what they need to say next. So everyone has to like get into character, and during a Zoom meeting, everyone will obviously have to have the camera on, and they will have to see each other. They can use their body language, their voice, and obviously what they say to like kind of gauge what the character is and what the environment is, and what they are what the play is going to be. So improvisation when it comes to drama is extremely important. I highly recommend it for it.
Hi, maybe I can ask a question or make a comment about that. Yeah, I think that what some of the teachers are worried about, and I'm included in that, I'm one of the BEO coaches, is that we have our group, basically the group that we practice all this time with the shadow theater thing. And we obviously good improvisation activities will help, but basically what we're already in the last part of it, which is just practice, practice, and practice. And with the whole social distancing and everything, it's a lot harder to try to practice the shadow theater aspect of our plays. So the script is probably done. If everyone worked at the same way that we did, the script is done. It's just practice, practice, practice. So I think I would like to hear a little bit more suggestions to how to deal with practicing the shadow theater portion of it. I think that's what we're worried about most.
Yeah, no. I definitely, I understand. And it's just like, actually, I had not looked into any resources for shadow theater. So if you give me some time, I will definitely make sure to send it to you with the email as well, and some actual resources. But I'm sure many other teachers have faced the same issues. Like, I mean, from a collaborative point of view, have you guys come up with any solutions already? How have you dealt with it?
Yeah, and also please keep in mind that tomorrow we'll have Camila. She's the head of the academic department of Oxford International, and she'll be doing that exactly, like all the questions that you guys have specifically about the guidelines for Easter 2021. Okay, if there are going to be any changes, and even giving advice about tips of how to manage to do that for Easter. So don't worry about it, and she'll handle it tomorrow.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions, just some comments. We won't be able to rehearse shadow theater if we don't get together as a school, so it's the same one. Same here. Thank you very much from Caracas, Venezuela. Everything related to 2020 guidelines, April 2021, Camila, our academic director, will be clarifying all your doubts tomorrow. Don't miss that presentation. And well, that's it. Sorry, sorry, I have a class, so I have to leave. Okay, thank you very much, Rafael. Okay. So in a few minutes, we'll have a presentation from Gabriela Uribe, giving us the winner's perspective from the master's program, and please don't miss that presentation. And thank you everyone for joining. If anyone has any other comments.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you all in the next presentation. The master
Bye. Have a nice day
perspective.
and good luck.
Thank you, Rox.
Thank you. Bye.
No problem.
Bye.